Hello, bachas. Welcome back to the channel The F in Physics, where the F in Physics stands for fun. In this revision lecture, we will learn about magnets. Okay, so magnetism is the topic. Very rarely there's one ATP question that comes. Okay, I've seen only once till now. Main focus would be structured and MCQs. So the first subtopic that you need to know is about types of magnets. Okay, under this you have soft and you have hard. These are the two types of magnets. They get the name on how easily or how difficult it is to magnetize them. Soft magnets are easily magnetized and they are easily demagnetized. Hard magnets take a lot of time to magnetize and hence they take a lot of time to demagnetize. Examples of soft magnets would be iron, cobalt, nickel. For hard, it would be steel. Okay, basic information on soft and hard magnets. I'm not doing the properties of magnets because we have been doing it since long time. Okay, the next topic is how to magnetize. Okay, how do you magnetize an iron rod? So multiple steps. Step one could be, or rather one method could be to pass DC current through that substance or through that material. Okay, this is one way to magnetize it. Second way would be stroke that magnetic or rather the substance with a magnet. Okay, these are the two ways to make a magnet. How do you demagnetize? One is continuously drop it. Okay, so drop the magnet, the domains d line. That's one way to demagnetize. Second way to demagnetize is hammer. Okay, let's say hammer because dropping and hammering is almost the same effect. Okay, second way is with respect to current. Now to demagnetize, we use AC current. Okay, so we have a solenoid, we have AC current, and we have the magnet, and you slowly pass this magnet from one end of the coil to the other. Okay, do it 2 or 3 times and it gets demagnetized. So AC current we use and we pass the magnet slowly through the coil. This they ask you in MCQs as well. Okay, so this is about how do you magnetize or how do you demagnetize a magnet. The next part is about magnetic fields. Magnetic fields. Okay, so any field is a space, okay, where since it is magnet, we'll say a magnet exerts a magnetic force onto another magnet or any other magnetic substance. Okay, or you can define it as a space where any magnetic substance or a magnetic material experiences a magnetic force. Okay, so this is about magnetic fields. Remember, the same definition would go along for gravitational field and electric field. It's just that these terms over here would vary. Okay, then the next part they ask you to draw the diagram of magnetic field of a magnet. So here is north, south. Okay, how do you get this? You keep plotting compasses, mark the points where the arrowhead points, and then just join them. Okay, so this is how you draw the magnetic field. Just make sure they do not touch each other because field lines mutually repel. Okay, this is what the magnetic field lines would look like. Outside the magnet, they point from north to south. North to south. One common mistake is at the bottom, kids draw the direction like this, which is wrong. Okay, so technical glitch. So this is what the field lines look outside. Now do not draw it the way I have drawn. It's very rough. Inside the magnet, since the field lines are continuous, okay, they look something like this. This tells you that the field lines are continuous, and inside the magnet they point from south to north. Again, they should not touch, they mutually repel. Why do they repel? Because they're in the same direction. Just remember these points. Okay, so if I have to write 3 points of field lines, then I would write they mutually repel each other. Mutually repel each other. They originate from North Pole and terminate at the South Pole outside. Okay, and vice versa on the inside. The third point would be just look at the diagram, you'll get the third point. They do not touch could be your third point, or as you move away, the distance between the field lines will increase. Okay, so as you move away, the distance between field lines increase. I forgot the fourth point. These are completely imaginary, so you cannot see them. So these are a few points of magnetic field lines. Then we talk about interaction of field lines. So they will give you two poles of a magnet, north and south, two different magnets, or suppose I give you like poles. Okay, then these opposite poles we know attract. So this is the direction of the field lines. The end field lines would be curved because they are being repelled. Okay, parallel lines are the center. If it's north and north, this is what you're going to draw, the field lines repelling each other. And since they move away from the North Pole, this is the direction, very similar to electric fields. Okay, this point over here is known as the null point, where there is, or rather the effect of magnetic field because of these two magnets is zero, which means you point a compass, it will not be affected by the magnetic field of these two magnets. The next topic is electromagnets. Okay, under electromagnets we start with one single wire. So magnetism produced by a current carrying conductor, a straight current carrying conductor rather, a straight current carrying conductor. Okay, so they will give you a diagram like this. So conventional current flow, very important, something like this, from positive to negative. Now you have to remember that wherever there is a conductor carrying current, that will behave like a magnet. Now since it is behaving like a magnet, it will have its own magnetic field lines. Okay, and the field lines of a straight current carrying conductor is given by right hand thumb rule. Okay, these field lines are in the shape of concentric circles. Concentric meaning having one center. Okay, so when you use your right hand thumb rule, the thumb should point in the downward direction of your right hand, and then the curled fingers produce the magnetic field lines, or rather give you the direction of field lines. In this case, it is in the clockwise direction. Okay, they tell you to draw the direction of the field lines. Now they'll not give you a circuit like this, but they will give you a space where either a cross will be marked or a dot will be marked. Okay, now remember, cross means into. How do you remember this? We always write 2 cross 2 and we read it as 2 into 2. Okay, so cross is into the page, which means direction of conventional current is into the page. Dot is out of the page, you can consider it coming towards you as well. Okay, so if you take your right hand thumb pointing into the paper, and when you close the grip, this is the direction in which your fingers point. So you take a rounder and you draw 3 concentric circles. It would look something like So it would look something like this. 1, 2. In reality, as you move away, the distance between the field lines increases. Okay, same over here. 1, 2. You're going to use a rounder or else they'll deduct marks. Okay, crosses into, so clockwise. How do you get this? Use your right hand, thumb into the paper, curl your fingers, they curl in the clockwise direction. Obviously this is going to be anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, very important, the distance will increase. Okay, they ask you in MCQs, they'll give you 4 diagrams, they'll ask you which one is the correct pattern. Most of the time any random diagram will be given. 2 would be very similar, one in which the distance is uniform, which means 2, 2 and 2, and the other in which the distance will increase. You always have to mark the one where the distance increases. Okay, so this comes in the exam for around 2 to 3 marks. So this was using a straight current carrying conductor. Okay, you will see that the magnetic field strength is very weak. Okay, or the wire behaves like a very weak magnet. So to increase the strength, we coil the conductor. And this coil structure is known as solenoid. And when you connect it to an electrical source, which means a battery, this entire structure is known as an electromagnet. Okay, so this is a solenoid, this becomes an electromagnet. Now again, since it is a magnet, it will have magnetic field lines. Now bachas, see, the current in the coil is moving in circular path. Remember this, in solenoids, the current moves in circular path. For this one bachas, we used a right hand thumb rule. Okay, you all remember right hand thumb rule. Why did we use the right hand thumb rule? Because obviously the thumb will point straight or it points straight. Now there is no way in which I can curl my thumb. So in this case I use right hand grip rule. Why do I use the grip rule? Because my fingers can curl easily and the direction of the current now is given by fingers. So bachas, in right hand grip rule, fingers indicate the direction of current, and wherever your thumb is pointing, that indicates the direction of, so thumb indicates the direction of the North Pole. Okay, so let me just give you a quick example. So the dotted part is the part which is behind, and the continuous part is a part of the coil which is facing you. Okay, so this is the direction of current. So in the part of the coil which is facing you, the current flows upwards, which means when I use my right hand grip rule, okay, my fingers of the right hand should curl upwards, something like this. This is how the fingers should curl. Okay, which means the thumb will point in this direction. Okay, so this is the North Pole, this is the South Pole. Are you getting it? Okay, so if I have to differentiate between right hand thumb and right hand grip rule. Okay, so right hand thumb rule is used for straight current carrying conductors. Right hand grip rule is used when current moves in circular manner in the coil. Okay, it is used for coiled structure. Okay, in right hand thumb rule, thumb indicates the direction of current and the curled fingers indicates the direction of magnetic field. Over here it's the other way around. Over here the curled fingers indicates the direction of current and then the thumb indicates the direction of magnetic field. Okay. Also, the pattern of field produced will be obviously circular, and the wire will be something like this. So how I remember it? It is very similar to a B which is formed. Okay, so thumb, and over here we use a solenoid. So if you can see, grip. Okay, very lame way, but still it helps me remember it. So this is the difference between right hand thumb rule and the right hand grip rule. What's important over here is, bachas, when you are aligning your fingers in the direction of the current, remember it is only the part that is facing you which needs to be aligned with the fingers. Are we clear? So now, compared to a straight current carrying conductor, we have a stronger magnetic field. Now the next question that they normally ask you is, how will you increase the strength further? Okay, how to make an electromagnet stronger. Then the first point that you are going to write is increase the current or voltage. Why? Obviously because it is because of this current it is behaving like a magnet. Second, use a coil with more number of turns. Okay, so more number of turns. Third, use a suitable core. We normally prefer soft iron. Why? Because the domains align and de-align very quickly in soft iron. There's also one more question which they ask you, what if you use steel? So what if steel is used as a core? Then you have to remember is electromagnet means I wanted to behave like a magnet only till a certain time. Okay, and that certain time is decided by the current. The moment you switch the current off, it shouldn't behave like a magnet. The problem with steel is that the moment current flows through it for a certain time period, this becomes a permanent magnet. So it is no longer an electromagnet which is normally temporary. Okay, it has become a permanent magnet. That is the reason I cannot use steel as a core. So this will come in the exam for 2 marks. You will have to write 2 points. The next part that you have is force experienced on a current carrying conductor. Current carrying conductor in an external magnetic field. Okay, we all know a current carrying conductor behaves like a magnet. So the magnetic field of this current carrying conductor interacts with the magnetic field of the external magnet. So here is north south. If I have a current carrying conductor, okay, this is the direction of conventional current, then you will see that the magnetic field of these magnets interacts with the magnetic field of the wire, and hence the conductor will experience a force. It's not just the conductor, it is the magnet as well. It's just that the conductor is light, it moves. Okay, now beta, force hai, force is a vector, it should have a direction. The direction in which force is experienced by this wire is given by left hand rule, is given by left hand rule. Okay, this F also stands for force, and this is basically motor effect. What do we have in motor effect? We will have magnets. Obviously we'll have a structure like this. Okay, and then we will have a coil which is looped, connected to a power supply. Okay, a DC supply. Suppose this is the direction of alternating current, this is north pole, south pole. You have to remember that the magnetic field of the magnets will always be perpendicular to current. So the magnetic field is perpendicular to current, and this will be perpendicular to the force experienced. Okay, now I will make another video to explain you how to find the direction of the force and with the magnetic field and the current using left hand rule. For that I'll make another video, it will be uploaded by tomorrow. So are we clear with this, bachas? All the three will be perpendicular, which means, remember this, if magnetic field is from left to right and current suppose is from top to bottom, okay, and if this is what the three axes look like, x, y, and then the z1 is suppose coming towards you, the z1. So if I just align this with this data, my magnetic field is from left to right, which means along the y-axis. Okay, my current is from top to bottom, which means along the x-axis. So my force will not be in these two axes. My force will be along the z-axis, which means either coming towards you or going into the paper. Always remember this, a very good way of solving MCQ questions. Okay, so the force will always be perpendicular to current and magnetic field. How do you find the direction of the force? By using left hand. I'll make another video. Now a proper setup of a motor looks like this: magnets for external magnetic field, a current carrying conductor, okay, connected to a ring which is divided from the center, and hence it is known as split ring. These split rings are movable. Then you have carbon brushes which are fixed. When the split rings rotate, they just rub over these brushes, and hence electric current flows through the conductor. And this is what the diagram is. And over here you can connect a fan or anything. Okay. Now a very common question is, what is the role of the the split rings or commutators? What's the role of commutators or the split rings? Then you are supposed to remember that okay, normally this comes for 2 marks, and the role of commutator is to change the direction of current in the coil after every half turn, okay, or after every 180 degree, the direction of the current in the coil changes so that the coil moves or rotates, rather not moves, rotates in one direction only, rotates in one single direction. Okay, very important question. So if they talk about motor, they will tell you to draw the diagram of a motor for around 2 marks. They will tell you to find the direction of the force experienced by either this part of the motor AB or by this part, or both, for maximum of 2 marks. Then they will ask you the role of commutator for 2 marks, and the last question will be, how are you going to increase the turning effect? Okay, how to increase the turning effect. Now the turning effect is increased. Now this question will also be for 2 marks. So you write down 2 points. The first point is increase the current, use stronger magnets, okay, these are the 2 points which you can write down for motor. So around 8 marks, this topic comes in the paper. Okay, Fleming's left hand rule also comes in magnetism. Okay, normally they will ask you a MCQ question, or sometimes it comes in structured for around 2 or 3 marks. So this was about electromagnets. Now we move on to electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction, also known as EMI. Electromagnets mein we had current, we were producing magnetism. Over here we will use magnetism or magnetic field and generate current. Okay, so any question of electromagnetism will never have a power supply. So if you have a coil with a power supply, remember it is about electromagnets. If you have a coil with a magnet near it, then it is about electromagnetic induction. Okay. So any question on electromagnetic induction will never have a power supply except for transformers. Okay, so transformers is one exception. Now what exactly happens in electromagnetic induction? We have a coil. Okay. Sometimes they tell you to draw the diagram for around 2 marks and then explain. Most of the kids draw a power supply over here. Remember, you are not going to make a power supply. You are generating current. Okay, so I need an instrument to predict or to find out, not predict, to find out whether current is moving or not. So I will use a galvanometer, okay, or an ammeter, or I can have a bulb over here, and I have a magnet. This experiment was done by Faraday, so it is also known as Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and he found out that only when the magnet is moving, EMF is induced. Okay, so they will give you a condition that the magnet is held stationary. What does this galvanometer show? Then you're supposed to write deflection. Okay, so magnet stationary, zero deflection. Then they will tell you that the magnet is moved closer. What will happen to the galvanometer? You write it deflects. Okay, while moving, initially it will deflect in any direction. You don't need to figure out the direction, that's okay. But when they tell you now the magnet is moved in opposite direction, then you have to write it deflects in opposite direction. This question comes for 2 marks. Okay, very basic question they ask you. So initially they will give you the same setup with a galvanometer over here and magnet north south. Question 1 will be magnet stationary, both of them at rest. What is seen? So galvanometer shows 0. Question 2 would be magnet is moved towards coil. What is seen? Then you will write that galvanometer deflects. Then question 3 will be why this happens. Very important. This is the reason behind electromagnetic induction. Then you're supposed to write the field lines. The field lines of the magnet gets cut by conductor or by this coil. This is for 1 mark. And then you write hence EMF is induced. Okay, this is for another mark. So this question will be for 2 marks. Then they will write that the magnet is moved away. What is seen? Okay, question 4 is magnet moved away. What is seen? Then you are going to write, again this is for 2 marks. So they will expect you all to write 2 points. Okay, so the 2 points are the galvanometer deflects, very obvious, deflects. This is for 1 mark. And for mentioning in opposite direction, you get 1 more mark. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mark question, and sometimes they tell you to draw the diagram of the apparatus that you're using. So around 8 mark question can come of electromagnetic induction. Okay, the next part that you have to learn is Lenz law. Okay, it's an extension of Faraday's law. Now Faraday uncle spoke about when is EMF induced. He did not mention anything about the direction. Lenz law gives you the direction of EMF induced. Okay, the statement of Lenz law comes for 2 marks. So 2 marks statement, and you are supposed to write that the direction of EMF induced is such that it opposes the cause producing it. Okay, now the cause producing it is basically moving magnets. So this Lenz law tells you that the coil will try to stop the magnet from moving, which means, so here is a coil, galvanometer, obviously you will not draw a cell or a battery, north pole, south pole. If the coil is moving, if the magnet is moving towards the coil, okay, the coil will try to stop the magnet from moving, and to stop I always need to have like poles induced. So movement of magnet and poles. If I just draw a table, if the magnet is moving towards coil, irrespective of what pole it is, you're supposed to remember that like poles are formed. Okay, so if a north pole is moving, a north pole will be formed here. If a south pole is moving, a south pole will be formed near end, to the near end. Okay, and if it is moving away from the coil, then again this coil will try to stop the magnet from moving. So it will try to attract now. So it will be opposite or unlike. Okay, so they ask you the definition for 2 marks. Then they will tell you to find the pole and draw the magnetic field. To draw the magnetic field, you should know the north pole. Okay, after you have determined the north pole, you will use your right hand grip rule again. Okay, first align your thumb. Suppose my north pole is formed here. Okay, then my thumb should point in this direction. And then you will see that the fingers curl in the downward direction. Okay, so the direction of current in the coil is downwards. Okay, this is for another mark or sometimes a couple of marks. So this is what Lenz uncle said. The next subtopic, bacha, is the generator effect. Generator effect, which is complete opposite of the motor. Now in motor, we had electric current, we produced mechanical energy. Okay, over here we will use mechanical energy to produce electricity. The apparatus is the same as this. Okay, so we all have seen this, where you have a wheel in which a guinea pig or a hamster runs. Okay, this is connected to a coil, and over here you will have magnets. The coil will be connected to either a galvanometer or a bulb. Okay, as this hamster runs, it will rotate this part, which in turn rotates this iron coil. Okay, or any a copper coil, or it can be any conductor. Now when the coil rotates, it cuts the magnetic field. Okay, and when field lines are cut, EMF is induced. Normally they do not ask you a lot of questions on generator effect. Okay, they only probably tell you to draw the diagram of generator. Now in motor we had split rings. Over here we use slip rings. So the diagram will be the same. So north, south, you don't need to draw a hamster. Okay, and one slip ring connected to one part of the coil, the other one connected to the other, and then you can draw carbon brushes. So brush 1, brush 2, again the brushes are fixed, connected to a galvanometer. Okay, this is the diagram you are going to draw. Now the only part which you have to by heart over here is when the coil is horizontal, EMF induced is maximum, and when the coil is vertical, EMF induced is minimum, and the output is an alternating current or an alternating voltage. Okay, and the last part of the topic is transformers, which works on the principle of mutual induction. Okay, so in transformers you have got 2 coils very similar to this. So coil 1, this is your coil 1 with a galvanometer, and instead of a magnet we have another coil with an alternating current, and these 2 coils are linked together by the core. Okay, now this takes up a lot of space, so this is the diagrammatic representation of a transformer. The same thing can be drawn like this. The input, where you give the input, that is known as primary coil. Where you connect the galvanometer, that is known as the secondary coil. Now depending upon the number of turns in secondary coil, we define transformers, or we divide them, we divide them into 2. Step up and step down. In step up transformer, the output voltage is more. In step down, the output voltage is less. Okay, how do you identify step up transformer? The number of turns in secondary will be more than primary, and for step down it will be the other way around. Now a 3-mark question normally comes where they ask you to define or to explain how a transformer works for 3 marks. Okay, 3 important parts. What happens in primary is for 1 mark, use of the core is 2nd mark, and what happens at the secondary is for the 3rd mark. So you're going to write these points: how a transformer works. Okay, so first point is an alternating current in primary coil will produce an alternating magnetic field in primary coil. Okay, second point, we write about the core. Okay, the iron core links the magnetic field of primary to the secondary coil. Okay, the third, we write about what happens at the secondary coil. So third point is secondary coil cuts the magnetic field and EMF is induced. Okay, so 3 points for 3 marks. Then there are 2 formulas associated with transformers. First formula is with respect to number of turns. Then the formula is number of turns of primary upon number of turns of secondary is equal to voltage in primary upon voltage in secondary. Okay, second is with respect to voltage and current. Then the formula is we consider transformers to be 100% efficient. Okay, this is one assumption that we make. Sometimes they ask you what assumption are you making, so you write down that the transformer is 100% efficient, so there is no power loss. So power in primary equals power in secondary, which means voltage into current of primary coil is equal to voltage into current of secondary coil. You can rewrite the same as Vp upon Vs equals Is upon Ip, and you can link the 2 formulas in this manner: Np upon Ns equals Vp upon Vs equals Is upon Ip. Okay, this is the only formula that you need to remember for transformers. Are we clear? The last part of transformers, they will ask you why is the energy transferred at a high voltage and not high current? Why at high voltage and not current? Then you're supposed to remember for transformers, bachas, we can see that current and voltage have an inverse relationship. Okay, and the heating effect produced is equal to I square RT, which means if your current is more, I square is going to be more and the heat produced will be more. Always remember this. Okay, so if current is more, I square value will be more, that is the heating effect produced will be more, and hence there will be more energy loss, and hence we keep it at a high voltage. Are we clear? Since voltage is inversely proportional to current, so it reduces the heating effect. So this is everything about magnetism that you people need to remember. Okay, thank you so much.